Keep walking.
What?
I want you to walk that way.
Welcome to On the Record with Big Nick. Today, the conversation that we're going to talk about, and a lot of you have been asking me, is about hockey. Now, from what you guys know, I'm not a big hockey guy. I got nothing against the sport. I just don't know a lot about it, and I haven't really followed it a lot. So, today I got a special guest today, Joey, who is a video editor here and works at Lumberland. He's part of the Lumberland family. Big hockey fan. And he's going to teach me about hockey and what I need to know about it to educate myself better on the game of hockey.
All right.
So without further ado, let's bring in Joey. Joey, thanks for taking some time to join us on the Record today.
Hey, yeah, thanks for having me, man. I'm really excited.
All the viewers that say I don't know a lot about hockey, I'm going to rely on you to give me a good education on what I need to know about hockey,
All right.
fundamentals, the rules, so on and so forth. The only thing I can tell you about hockey is this. It's a fucking cold ice skating rink, and men fucking skate on skates. That's about all I can tell you, all right?
Yeah. So well, let me tell you, you're 2 for 2 to start off.
So you got to start somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, you're undefeated. And then I think there's going to be a portion where I got to just take questions from you because I think I'm going to run out of rules.
Whatever works. You just start firing,
right?
and then whenever you need me to take the reins again, you let me know.
Basics of the game. Object of the game is to score more goals than the other team. Pretty straightforward. Score goals by getting the puck in the net. There's only increments of 1. Not like basketball. You can't get 2 points, can't get 3 points. Score in increments of 1. Each team has 5 skaters on the ice and 1 goalie apiece.
So a total of 6 guys on each team, right? Okay. Like
Yes.
6 guys on one team, 6 on the ice at the same time, right?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
And those guys are usually on the ice for 30 seconds to a minute at a time.
Really?
When they get
That
off,
quick, huh?
you guys come on. Yeah, I mean, hockey is draining, dude. Physically, like skating for 30, 45 seconds, I'm gassed. As most people who watch hockey, I played hockey. I feel like that's like the only people who are hockey fans are people who used to play when they were a kid. And I played my last game maybe 2 years ago. Or I'd quit a beer league like the year before. Somebody just like called me, like an old friend. Was like, hey, I need a fill-in for tonight. Like, would you be able to do it? I was like, oh, hell yeah. Like, I haven't really worked out much. Like, I picked up smoking, but like, yeah, sure, I can definitely keep up. Like,
Right on
what
cue.
could possibly go wrong?
There you go.
So I went out there and I had 2 shifts. So I was probably on the ice for a grand total of like a minute and a half, if that. And then I just skated off the ice and I waved to the bench. I was like, I can't do it. And I never talked to that guy again. I was like, I'm sorry. I texted him on my drive home. I was like, man, I just couldn't keep up. I was going to throw up out there. So like I said, they're on the ice for like 30 seconds to a minute. Each team has about 4 lines, as they're called. A line being like a grouping of those 5 skaters on the ice, right? Like you don't really change your goalie unless there's an issue, but 4 different sets of skaters. And a lot like basketball, your top guys are going to see the most ice time and then kind of drop as it goes down. Your 4th line, they're maybe playing 10 minutes a game. Your top line, they're probably playing 20 to 25 minutes a game. Games in 3 periods, 3 20-minute periods, and then overtime if need be. There's no such thing as a tie in hockey anymore. There's either a sudden death overtime, which we'll get to because I think that is the most exciting thing in sports is sudden death overtime hockey, especially in the playoffs, or it goes to a shootout, which I think is the second most exciting thing in sports. So we're going to get to what you said yesterday about team sports and about the hardness level of team sports. You can't win a hockey game by yourself. It is the most team-based sport, I think, out there, other than maybe football. I think football could give it a run for its money. You can have 3 superstars, 5 superstars. If you don't have a solid 25 out there, a solid 20, you're not doing much. You're not making a dent.
So when you say first line, second line, third line, fourth line, is that substitutions? Like
yes,
your first tier's on the ice, and then when they say second line, that's pretty much the second string going in.
Yep.
and so on. Is that what you mean by first, second, third, and fourth?
Yes. Yeah. So it's also so there are positions on the ice, right? So it's not necessarily just like your top line is like your best guys, then your second line is your second best guys. But also there's a lot of chemistry in that stuff too. A lot of teams will have their best player on the second line because those guys work together well. Hockey's so reliant on team chemistry. If you don't have it, if you just don't sync up with a guy and you just don't know the way he plays the game and you can't make a blind pass to him because you never know where he is, or you can't rely on him to come bail you out of a tough battle on the boards or something, how are you going to play together?
So you talked about a little earlier about how you can only stay on the rink for like 30 to 45 seconds at a time.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, even someone as clueless as me when it comes to hockey understands that hockey's a very endurance sport, obviously.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're on skates and you're going back and forth. So what's the huge difference? And again, this is me being naive here. What's the huge difference between a track star guy running around a track, and he's able to do that for more than 30 to 45 seconds, versus a hockey player going up and down the rink? You see where I'm kind of going with that?
Yeah, for sure. It's completely unnatural to walking. You're using muscles like in your groin and on your outer thighs and in your hips that don't feel natural, that aren't your big muscles, you know what I mean? Like
Right.
obviously your quads and your hammies and whatever like are necessary, but you're using a lot of kind of secondary muscles. And on top of that, I mean, there's the physicality too. You're not just out there sprinting or jogging or whatever. You're out there sprinting one way, sprinting the other way, getting knocked on your ass, skating back the other way, taking a stick across your ribs, skating back the other way, which can definitely add to the fatigue factor. You know what I mean?
Right, right. Speaking of taking a stick to the ribs, so obviously, I don't want to call it tackling. It's probably the wrong way of putting, but obviously you can
checking.
hit people in hockey. Checking, thank you. You can hit people. So I know that obviously people hit each other in hockey. Like why is that allowed to happen? Like why can you obviously in football, if a wide receiver comes across, cornerback or linebacker can knock you the fuck out.
Yeah.
So like in hockey, I guess that could be somewhat similar. Correct me if I'm wrong. Like what makes it different on hockey than it would be like as a sport like football?
A lot like in football, aside from the lineman, downfield you're only allowed to make contact when somebody has the ball or is about to be in possession of the ball. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
to avoid a PI. And in hockey, I mean, there's a very similar penalty, interference. You can only hit people who have the puck. You can't just blindside a guy. And recently, a lot like the other leagues, they've gotten a little bit more conscious about head injuries, as everyone has gotten. So, no blindsiding people, no hits to the head. Unless, of course, you drop the gloves and are in a fight with somebody, in which case, bare knuckle punch them in the face. Doesn't totally make sense, but that is what the rules are right now. But yeah, I mean, I think the idea behind the physicality of hockey is what most people see of hockey is like these big highlights, right? Like the slap shots and the fights and the whatever. If you watch a game, you're in for a very different experience because most of the game is these small battles along the boards. That's a lot of the game is pucks in the corner, three guys are there, and they're physically moving each other away from the puck and battling for possession, right? And that's, I think, where the most physicality comes in. It's not mostly these open ice hits of, somebody, like in the video games or something, like flipping people over their backs or, taking someone out at the knees. Like most of the physicality in hockey is essentially wrestling shoulder to shoulder with somebody. One of the biggest distinctions between that and basketball, that there is a big physical element, because there is a lot of similarities between hockey and basketball, I think, as far as like setting up the zone, 5 players on the ice, and ball movement and puck movement, like manipulating a defense and finding holes. It's very similar. And I think that physical element really, really separates it. That it's not just setting screens and setting picks, but it's knock somebody on their ass. You want the puck, come get it.
So you talked a little bit earlier about the quote unquote fist fights that happen in
Yeah.
hockey.
Yeah.
So this is one thing that I've never understood. And again, this is not me having a lot of knowledge about hockey. Obviously, it doesn't take a genius to figure out that obviously it's either a rivalry or like the two guys just hate each other and everything like that. But obviously, if you pull that shit in, like for baseball, you get brawls on the field, right?
Yeah.
You know, someone throws a punch, see you later, you're gone, right?
Yeah.
Or in hockey, not hockey, in football, you know, if somebody's doing that, you're gone. Like, I'm assuming that's the same way in hockey.
No, sir. Part of the
Really?
game. Yep, absolutely. Part of the game. So fighting in hockey, at least now, is a lot less emotional and like you said, kind of like rivalry based than it used to be. Before it was kind of like, like two guys get into it, they're slashing at each other, and then they decide, yeah, let's go, let's drop the gloves, let's get it. Now, there's this kind of unspoken rule that people call the fighter's code. There's kind of this whole set. I know you're not a big unwritten rules guy. I've watched the show, but there's this whole list of unwritten rules of things like, if you're going to hit a guy who's a lot smaller than you, you've got to know that someone else on that team just saw you do that, and they're probably coming for you. If, one team has the leading goal scorer in the league and you take him out from behind and you hit him with a dirty hit, you better be prepared that someone bigger than him is going to come after you.
So it's like getting hit by a pitch in baseball, like it's coming for you at some point.
Yeah, it's a form of like self-policing, The refs aren't going to call everything, and even if they do, there's an ideology of sending a message, that says like, you're not going to do that again. You're not going to come at our guys again. You're not going to be hitting us low. You're not going to throw punches behind the play. And if you are, you're going to answer for it. It's going to be a toe-to-toe, one-on-one battle. It's not going to be this, throwing cheap shots deal.
It's interesting that you say that that's part of the game. Like, okay, I'll just literally beat the fuck out of somebody, and
Yeah.
all right, I'll go back in and just
And
play hockey again.
yeah, sorry, I should have answered your question just to wrap it up. That it's a 5-minute penalty, is fighting.
Oh, okay,
So
it is. So it is. You do get something out of it. Okay, I mean, it's not that big compared to other sports. But.
Yeah, no, you don't. Yeah, you don't get thrown out. You don't get suspended or something. I mean, every once in a while they'll throw in an extra penalty, something if you instigate the fight, like if you just for no reason grab a guy and start throwing punches at him, you're gonna get either a misconduct or some additional penalty. But 90% of fights are just matching 5-minute minors or 5-minute major penalties.
Right.
And two guys go in the box, and 5 minutes later they're back on the ice.
Obviously, with the changing so quickly, substitutions happen so fast. Shout out to the Mighty Ducks. This is the only reason why I know this one. So,
Yeah.
in
Change
D3,
it up.
in D3 Ducks, they were doing a rotation, and they were saying too many men. So, how does that work? Because obviously the game doesn't stop. You got to continue to play. So, coach calls rotation. Let's just say just substitution, whatever the coaches call it. And so-called too many men get on the field. I'm assuming that obviously if there's more than 6 men that touch that ice, that's when they call it. Like
More or less.
Off the rink, and then the next guy can come in, or
It's kind of like at the ref's discretion. So like if the play is, the puck's down at one end of the ice, right? And a guy is coming off, they'll give you 15 feet, 10 feet, It's the rule there is like more than 6 guys are involved in the play. So like if those 2 guys were changing, one was coming off, one was coming on, and the puck came over and they both went to play it, they call it. And that's a penalty as well. One of the major things in hockey is power plays. Because
like
so I'm
right for a certain amount of time. So it's like
yes.
a 5-4, something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the team that committed the penalty loses a guy. He goes into the penalty box for 2 minutes of play, and then it's a 5-on-4. And I mean, obviously, if you have more players on the ice than the other team, you got a pretty good advantage.
Right.
So I mean, that's a big part of the game is staying out of the penalty box, and then also drawing penalties. Like some of my favorite players in the league are the loudmouth, annoying penalty drawing players. The guys who will whisper in your ear and give you a little shove until you throw a punch at them, and then you're in the box. I think the mental aspect of the game is just as intriguing as the physical aspect. The big hits are awesome, but seeing somebody get under someone's skin and really piss them off, and then you get a power play out of it and you get a goal out of it, dude, I think that's awesome.
It's definitely a sport that you have to, at some point, contain your emotions, because it might feel good to, like, say, fuck you, I want to tear your fucking head off, but at the same time, you might hurt your team doing that.
Absolutely.
At the end of the day,
Especially if you're a star player.
right, and at the end of the day, if you are off on the ice and it's a 5-on-4 and they score, I mean, obviously in hockey, it's not a huge scoring game, like as far as like high points. It's not like, you see a lot of like 3-2 games, 4-1, whatever shit like that. So obviously a lot of scoring doesn't happen a lot compared to like a basketball or shit like that. So
yeah.
So obviously every shot really means, every goal really means a lot more in a particular sport like hockey than it would in like basketball. Again, it counts, but obviously, those guys are shooting 100 points a game. Like it's a little bit more of a leeway there. What did you used to do when you played hockey to train for? Did you just throw on the skates and just have a fucking great old time with it?
I wish it was that easy, dude. I wish I just could strap them on and you just go for it. But no, like you said, endurance. That's the number one thing. That's the name of the game. Because if the end of the third period comes around and it's a tie game and you're not at 100%, like what are you doing? Like what good are you to the team if like you were brought on the team because your 100% is what we liked. So if you're at 80% come the end of the game, thanks for coming. Thanks for nothing. So endurance was definitely a big thing. A lot of teams that I was on would have running requirements. So my first one was probably, I was like, totally dry land, like out on a track, midsummer, nice. Like preseason regulations that look at it. Like, I those days are behind me, man. I cannot get out there anymore. But my first one, I think I was like I want to say maybe like 13 years old, and it was like 2 miles in 16 minutes, which is like an 8-minute mile. Like it's fine. As a 13-year-old, it was ambitious. And then, as you move up, like there were these kind of other requirements, but those are the big ones for like off ice, dry land, a lot of lower body strengthening stuff. If I never have to do another wall sit in my life, I will die a happy man.
Yeah. Guys in Miracle, they had the plates and they rotate the plates.
Good. Yeah. So we would have competitions of who could stack more 45s on their thighs. And let me tell you, I won 0 of those.
Just to get into it just a little bit more about your experience with hockey.
Yeah.
Obviously you played more than hockey when you were a kid, right? You played all the sports besides hockey, or was hockey your go-to sport?
Hockey was my number one, like by far, like far and away. Like I started when I was 4. I started playing hockey, and then I played baseball up until high school. And then once I got to high school, I had to make a choice, and baseball, obviously, big part of my life. Like I'm still a massive fan, and I probably hit the cages twice a month, and I like to play. But hockey was my life, man. Like my dad just always, he wouldn't believe how shocked I was when I became an adult and realized that hockey was not the most popular sport in the world. Because in my house, that was it. I was just raised thinking that hockey was hockey. Hockey's the game. Hockey's America's game. And then, when I started meeting people like, in high school and in college that were like just not hockey fans. What the hell do you mean? Like there are people that just don't watch hockey? Baseball was the second one, but beyond that, I played a little lacrosse because everybody, if you play hockey, I think you're legally obligated to play a little bit of lacrosse. And then I played a little bit of football in high school, and I got crushed. And I got that ended my hockey playing. Actually, it was football.
Really?
Yeah, one season of football, and then never made it back.
What happened?
My hip, dude. I got a good injury to my hip. After my high school coach, when I told him it was after my sophomore year, I told him like I want to play football in the off season, and he told me don't do it. And then over the summer, like I made the decision I was going to, and he called me and he was like, please don't do it. And then my parents were telling me don't do it, like just all because they said like you could get really hurt.
Yeah.
And at the time I was 140 pounds, if that. Um, I was a small kid and I'd never played football before. I just had some friends that were playing football and I thought like that'd be fun. Like I'll be a receiver or something, like I thought it would be like, playing in the backyard, and it really wasn't. I really sucked. I got put in as a fullback for some reason, and I got blown up like right above my knee and messed up my hip flexor, and it just kind of I tried to come back the next year, and there was no shot.
Do you think that if you decided not to play football, would you? Because obviously you didn't. That means you didn't play hockey in college, then, correct?
Nah, no, I went to a school that had a club team, and I played in a beer league. Uh, so I was active and I was like playing again, which was awesome, but I was definitely, nowhere near like full speed.
How did that make you feel emotionally and mentally when that happened? When obviously you made the decision, and obviously things happen to all of us. We all get injuries and everything happens
Yeah.
like that, and we all learn from our own experiences. But how did that affect you maybe later on in your life, like that experience alone, like you not being able to play the sport that you absolutely loved? Because I know that when I was younger in 8th grade, I tore my hamstring apart. And I used to be lightning quick, and I actually used to do lower body. Believe it or not, I actually used to do it, and I used to be pretty fucking
Buy
good.
it.
And I blew my hamstring out. I missed my whole baseball season, and it totally fucked with my head. Like I didn't want to be around anybody. I didn't want to do anything.
Mhm.
I was so upset because the way that you feel about hockey, obviously you're no stranger to this. Obviously, that's how I feel about baseball. Like that's
Mhm.
my life. And I can relate to what you're saying as far as like having that one sport. Like I love football. Don't get me wrong. I never played it. I love it.
Mhm.
I like basketball, different sports and stuff like that. But obviously baseball was the sport. Like you said, your dad, like it was hockey. Well, my dad is baseball.
Yeah.
So like, how did that affect you? And maybe it didn't. And then if this is a little too personal, you definitely don't have to answer this.
No, it's
But
all good.
how do you think you felt like going through high school and then going into college, knowing like, shit, I'm not going to play hockey again?
I didn't think it at first. When I got hurt, I think I was pretty blind to how bad it was.
The injury?
Yeah, because I had gotten injuries before, and like I always prided myself on like being able to play through. Like, um, this is not me just like patting myself on the back, but
And no, we're all
in
like, we got that thing that you want to continue to play. You don't want to have an injury slow you down.
exactly. In like a couple years prior, I'd broken my arm, and I knew it was broken, and I didn't say anything for like a couple weeks. And I kept playing, and I finally had to go to my dad and be like, hey, can we go to like the hospital real quick and check this out? And for sure, it was broken, and like and 4 weeks in a cast, back out there. But I always like prided myself. I'm like, I came back from that. I played through that. It's not really a big deal. So they told me I had torn my hip flexor, and that was going to need some work, and then it was going to need some PT. And I was like, that's, it's not a big deal. Like I'll miss the rest of this, or I'll miss this one season. I'll come back, play my senior year, and then, if I work my ass off, maybe I could play D3 somewhere or something like that. Best case scenario. So I sat out my sophomore year, or my junior year, sorry, and I went to play a 3-on-3 league. It was just like just something to do, and within, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 shifts of my first game, I was like, this just does not feel good. Like this is really bad. And I tried to finish the game, and I was like tearing up on the ice. I'll be honest with you. I was in a lot of pain. And I was like, this is just not good. And so I went back to a doctor who told me I had some bone spurs on the top of my femur, and that my femur wasn't fitting in right into my hip socket, like the ball and socket joint was gonna, like, the bones were gonna grind. And they're like, we can go in there and file it down, but I mean, that's a surgery. And I mean, I didn't want to do that. So I tried to keep playing. And I mean, the more that got in my head, and I just kept hearing those words, I was like, bone spurs, bone spurs. I was like, that sucks. Like, I don't want to ruin my life, you know? Like, I love this game, but like, do I want to get a hip replacement at 22 years old so I can go have another one when I'm 32 years old?
Wouldn't be able to walk around Disney World that well with a hip replacement.
Yeah. Hey, I hear you get to the front of the lines if you're in one of those scooters, though.
Hey, yeah, there you go. You show up that road.
Mr. Brightside over here. But yeah, man, I mean, it sucked. I think I realized in one of those games that I was like, I'm not keeping up in this like 3-on-3, like everyone's going 50%. Like there's no chance that I can play. And I had a shitty conversation with my dad, because I mean, I think he wanted me to fight through too, and I think he thought that I was, and I was like, I just can't do this. Like, this is gonna fuck me up, you know, long term. I would run into some old friends here and there, and you know, I would see them go on to do some cool stuff, and like they would ask, like, you know, whatever happened, like, where'd you ever go, like, where'd you ever play? And I think I'm content with my decision though, man, because it was like, I have a functioning hip. I don't have to get it replaced. And two, stepping away helped me find my passion, dude. And I'm a video editor now, professional video editor. And that was my dream back then. Like, shortly after that, I got into, you know, making videos with my friends and cutting up videos. And then I decided maybe that's what I'll go to college for. And here I am. So, I mean, you know, one way or another, dude, I went down the right path, I think.
And now you're here at Lumberland. How about that?
Now I'm here at Lumberland.
He gets it. And for the viewers, he gets to edit my freaking beautiful face all day long. All right. He's a lucky fucking guy, you know?
I'm the guy who's checking the tape.
Why do you think hockey isn't as popular of a sport?
The NHL is managed so terribly. They refused to sign an extension with ESPN and started putting their games on like the USA Network. They're nowhere, dude. They're on NBCSN. They used to be on Versus, like right after like motocross racing. Like I
was gonna say, even when you scroll through the channels, you don't really see a lot of hockey games on screens.
You got to go way out of your way to find a hockey game. Check this out. This is a fun little thing. The Colorado Avalanche, their like home like broadcast network or whatever, just didn't get a contract with the NHL that they liked. So for the first half of the season, for the first like 30 games, they just weren't televised. They just, unless they were the national game of the week or something, you just couldn't watch your team. So they're so mismanaged, man. It's horrible. And also, I mean, if you don't grow up playing hockey, most people don't enjoy watching hockey.
So do you think that based on them being managed the way you said they've been managed, and obviously not getting deals with ESPN and big time TV networks, do you think that's the reason why the NHL players don't get paid as much?
Yeah, I mean,
that's a lower a sport that doesn't get paid as much, right? In retrospect, football and basketball and shit.
Yeah, like the top end players in the NHL are making like $10 million a year. And then, you know,
Bradley Jr. is making $10 million a year.
Yeah, yeah. So Connor McDavid, Sidney Crosby, and Jackie Bradley Jr. are pulling in the same paycheck. And I bet two of those guys could hit above the Mendoza line. Yeah, I think they just don't generate enough revenue. And then also, like I said, if you're not growing up around hockey and you're just trying to get into it at, you know, 20 years old, you're just like, I'm going to turn on a hockey game. There's like the casual entertainment factor. There is like, oh, a big hit or like a big fight. But if you've been on the ice, you understand the finer details, and you understand, like, you know, a little battle on the boards for the puck can mean a lot. I think a lot of people who grow up with hockey, it's the only sport to them.
It's almost like that conversation, like if you go to Brazil, soccer's the sport.
Yeah.
If you are in America, it's either baseball or football, depending on what part of the country you're in. If you go to Canada, obviously it's hockey. If You go to Russia, it's hockey. Obviously, Texas, they do two things. They go to church, they play football. Like, that's what they do.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
In Russia, they don't smile and they swing the hockey stick. I mean, it's just.
Yeah, man. I was thinking about that the other day. So, like, when you made that list on that TikTok of like the hardest sports to play, I was thinking like baseball versus hockey, and I think I landed on that you're right, that I think baseball is harder in the sense to make it pro is really hard in baseball because number one, I mean, your pool is so much bigger because there is so many places that baseball players come from. Like, you basically have all of North America, Central America, and South America. And with hockey, you basically have 5, maybe 6 countries. Like, you have the US, Canada, Russia, and then like Sweden, Finland, the Czech Republic, and then every once in a while you get like another Eastern European country. But for the most part, like, that's it. I mean, basketball and baseball, like, it costs you a stick and a ball. With hockey, you need to have access to a rink, or at the very least a frozen lake.
Right.
And you got to have skates, and like you have to have access to that stuff. If you're living in Panama, you're probably not going to find a frozen lake near you.
Nope.
I don't think that there. I would put money on there's less than 2 ice rinks in Panama. There might be 1. There's definitely not 2.
I'm going to go on a lesser number in Cuba. I bet you there's not even 1. But I bet you there's a million baseball fields.
Oh my God, yeah. There's access too. You know what I mean? Like, if you can't physically play hockey, you're not going to get any hockey players out of those.
That's the thing. I mean, even if you come around here, I mean, if you go outside and you go to your local park, you're going to find what? A baseball field, a basketball field, and you can find a football field. I mean, it's like you said, a hockey rink. It's not like they just open up the door and say, "Oh, you can go to a public high skating rink. Go field day."
Yeah.
So.
Dude, you know what's nuts? I'm glad you mentioned that, and I'm glad that you bring it up, Massachusetts. There's a stat. I'm going to ballpark it here, no pun intended, because I'm not going to like bring up the numbers, but this is close enough to being right. Bobby Orr. You know Bobby Orr? Okay.
That's one other thing I do know. I do know who Bobby Orr is.
Okay. Just double checking. Before Bobby Orr started playing in the 60s, right? There was, I'm going to, again, ballparking, there was like 5 or 6 ice rinks in the state of Massachusetts. And when Bobby Orr retired, this is no coincidence, there was like over 120. Bobby Orr almost single-handedly, and the Boston Bruins team that he was with that, kept winning the cup, brought hockey to Massachusetts and then New England. Before that, I mean, it was the Sox. It was the Sox and it was the Pats. Not even the Pats. It was the Sox and the Celtics. Yeah. And then there's this new Boston Patriots team who no one cared about. If you have success somewhere, you really can grow the game.
I mean, look at the Patriots. I mean, back before 2000, the Patriots were just like, it's the Patriots. All right, they got some talent there, whatever. And then obviously Tom gets there, and obviously now you're a historic franchise. Even though he's gone, like, people still say you can't rule them out because you never know.
You just never know. Yeah, I mean, my dad talking about the Pats. My dad's was born in '58, so he's a little bit older than the Patriots franchise, and he just shakes his head at like the idea of like, you don't understand how crazy it is that the New England Patriots are this good. Like, my whole life they were dog shit. Like, for them to be this is incredible. But success brings that to places, people start to care.
The last few questions I want to ask you, Joey, what is it about hockey that gets you that obsession? You know what I mean? Like, some people have like that it factor, like that's their sport. Mm-hmm. What was it? Was it the tackling? Was it the fist fights? Was it the cold of the ice skating rink? Was it, shooting the stick? What was it that you loved about hockey so much?
Dude, I'm really glad you asked that, dude. I loved the team chemistry, getting to know your teammates, your line mates, just like the back of your hand. I loved that. I loved having a relationship with my guys that, like, every team that I was on, I knew that I could tell my coach, like, hey, I don't want to change my line. Like, I know that, like, I got bumped up here or got moved there or he got moved down. Like, I want to stay with this guy. Like, we really have it. I loved knowing how to manipulate a defense. And once, I got somebody moving on me, or, got something shifting, to know, oh, fucking Mike, I know that when this happens, Mike usually does this. So I bet if I pass it over there, Mike's going to be there. I liked knowing things without seeing them, outsmarting defenses. I really like that. That's my favorite thing to watch in hockey is puck movement and manipulating a defense, so to create holes. And I really like that. I always use this word. It's like a ballet, like there's this real choreography to it, of pass the puck and follow the puck and drop the puck and cycle it around, cycle it back. There really is something like artful about it that I think is really just really intriguing. It's like a strategy game. It really is. And then your physicality needs to bring that strategy to life.
The other question I have for you before you talk to me about hockey slang, we'll end it on that. So the question I have for you before that one, is there anything that you would have done differently when it came to the game of hockey, as far as how you prepared? How would you have? And I'm not even trying to bring up the football thing. I'm just talking more in hockey in general. If that's your answer, that's your answer. I don't want you feeling like that's what I'm pushing towards. Like, what would you have done differently in the game of hockey to make yourself better?
I think I was obsessed with the game, man. Like I really was like somebody who like would go home and just like watch full games from like 97 and just go home and like just watch a game. At least from my memory, I really, really cared. It's hard not to say I would have probably listened to my coach and not tried to overextend and play football for no friggin' reason. But I think I got hot-headed a lot, man. I really think I did. I think I was known to throw a punch here and there. I was known to slam a helmet when I got in the locker room. I was known to get fired up, and a lot of that stems from the passion, the passion for competition and the passion for the game.
Yeah.
But I think there were definitely times that backfired on me, and times that I remember one game in particular. We were in a tournament in New Jersey, and I got into a full-on fist fight, which not allowed when you're in youth hockey. You can do it in the pros. You can't do that in youth hockey.
You can't do that shit in like high school and shit.
Absolutely not. No, you'll get screwed. You'll get kicked out of the entire tournament, which is what happened. And I remember my coach pulling me aside.
After that one, huh?
Yeah, I got laid into a little bit, and coach was like, you let us down. Like, now we're shorthanded. Like, because you couldn't control it, you've hurt the team. And I remember that really well. I mean, it stuck with me. I was like, 12 years old, and I'm still here as an adult. Like, God, I let that team down. I should have been there. I should have kept it in check. I think I got carried away sometimes. I mean, I think that's also being immature. I think that would have come with maturity if I kept playing. Because I was definitely angry after I stopped, man. Because I was mad because I screwed it up for myself. I don't think playing hockey or not would have changed that, man. I think that's just the way it would have gone either way.
So in a way, it definitely benefited you in your life now.
Yeah, I think I haven't told you this though. Watching you talk about the kids. I think it was on the record when you were talking about your U14 team.
Yeah.
That day at lunch, I signed up for a USA hockey coaching seminar on Zoom. I was like, you know what, man? Like, I've been talking about coaching forever, and I always said, like, when I have a kid, like, then I'll do it. And I have a baby now. He's 4 months old, and I was like, you know what, man? Like, I'm gonna get into it now. 4 or 5 years from now, maybe I'll have enough, levels up that I can coach him and get back involved in the game. And yeah, I wanted to let you know that, dude. Like watching you talk about them, watch how passionate you were, dude. I was getting really excited and actually pulled the trigger on it.
That's great to hear. And by you actually saying that actually makes my day, to be honest with you, because the reason why I do it is because obviously when I stopped playing, I wanted to stay involved. Yeah. The way you watch hockey is the way I watch baseball. I'll watch the game for 3 hours. Like, I'll watch it. Like, to me, it's not boring. To me, like, I'm, what people don't understand about baseball, not to get off topic, but, like, people think that baseball's so boring because there's guys just standing out in the field. Like, they don't understand what goes into a play. like people could say about hockey, oh, it's just fucking cold out. You know, it's a guys skating in a cold rink. These guys are fucking nuts. Like whatever.
Yeah.
So I definitely see where you're going with, but like, yeah, I mean,
It's the finer details.
right. But the thing is, like, the reason why I continue to do it is because what you'll understand, and we'll talk about this a few years down the road, okay? Because I'm not checking on with you with this, and you better keep your word and you better do it because I think
Oh yeah.
it will benefit. What you'll understand, Joey, is that you'll feel so good about yourself because it's not about what you're teaching the kids as far as the physical sport of hockey. It's not the fundamentals of hockey. What you'll end up doing is you'll end up affecting their lives in a way that they might not understand right away. But down the road, you know, they will. I mean, I call my dad the GOAT of coaching in baseball. Is it because, again, I know I'm going off topic, but now you're getting me a little emotional over here with this whole coaching thing. Like, the reason why I call him the GOAT is because are there guys out there that know more about the game? I would actually like to see that because I think my dad just fucking knows the game left and right. But the point that I'm trying to make is that what makes him so different is that he knows how to affect kids that he's coached 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago, and they still call him up at your age, at my age, and they still call him coach, and they're 25, 26, 27 years old, and they remember playing for him when he was 23, or when they were 12, 13 years old.
Yeah.
The values that were taught there stayed with them their whole life.
Oh, for sure.
Based on the
I
way,
still have like my number one coach in my head. Like it comes right to the top. You always have that one coach that like stands out and affects you,
that's the thing.
you know, in a bigger way, man.
To be a basketball guy, a football guy, a hockey guy, but it doesn't matter what sport. But the thing that makes sports in general just so great is like it's the whole life thing after it. Like there's something that you can learn from a sport. It doesn't matter which one it is, that you can carry it with you in your life. Like the experiences that you had, Joey, maybe or maybe not. Maybe you wouldn't have coached if you didn't stop so early. I'm not saying you probably would have. I'm just saying maybe if you just
Maybe
kept
not. Who knows?
playing, maybe you would have been just satisfied with playing. But maybe you're not going as far as you did in hockey. It gives you that fire to like, you know, I didn't get there. I want to help someone else get there. I wanted to do what I couldn't do and put it into the kids and be like, okay, this is what I want to do now. Like I knew after my senior year in high school, I'm done playing. Off to the next phase in life. And it's to impact kids. That's what it's about. It's about impacting the kids' lives. And that's why you hear me so fucking passionate about it. And I'll rip kids' assholes out, but at the same time, I'll put them over the shoulder and say, we love you. Like,
I remember you saying that about Snacky, about knowing a kid's limits.
right.
You know, pushing them, but also knowing when you got to stop pushing them.
Exactly. Because there's certain kids that can take more and not.
Yeah.
You better stick with that, Joey. Because I'll tell you.
I absolutely am.
You mark my words. I'm going to say it on the record.
On the record.
You will look back at this 4, 5, 6 years from now, and you'll say to yourself, it was one of the best decisions you ever made. I guarantee you it. And I'll tell you something, too, and I'll say it on my damn show. I will check with you 5 or 6 years from now, and I'll say, Joey, how's that coaching gig going? And I guarantee you, you'll tell me it's unbelievable. So to go back on to Casey's point here, the last thing I guess we'll talk about is he talked this thing about hockey slang.
Hockey is like its own culture, man. Like it's small. We got, you know, our little things. You got our little games, our little language.
Hey Joey, I got some terms for you, and you can explain them to Nick.
All right. Perfect. Okay, awesome.
All right, we're gonna start at the top of the alphabet with the letter A. Apple.
Okay. An apple's an assist. An assist, a lot like in.
That's what that means. An apple's an assist.
Yep.
Yeah, if you get an apple, dude.
What are you gonna say?
An apple.
Grape is a goal.
But yeah, dude, you picked an apple. You got yourself a sweet apple.
All right.
You fed somebody who scored.
Bar down.
Bar down. Bar down's a way of scoring. Like when you hit the crossbar and the puck goes down. It's also it's just a clean way of scoring. if puck goes in, bar down, it's chef's kiss.
Barn.
Barn is an ice rink. I played in a place in Swansea, New Hampshire. It was the fairgrounds, dude. It was a flooded barn that they put plywood boards around, and then instead of glass, it was a chain link fence. Playing in the real barns is something, and that's where that term comes from. A barn's a rink.
Barn burner.
Barn burner is a game, a really high scoring game. Like you're burning down the barn. You keep lighting the lamp, which is a term for scoring.
All right, that one actually makes sense. I got that one. All right, gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Bender.
A bender is somebody who sucks at skating because their ankles bend.
Okay.
Beauty.
I've heard that one once or twice. Come my way, maybe.
Beauty.
A beauty, dude. A beauty. Oh man, that's like the X factor. It's hard to say. It's just somebody who. It's just something you'd say about somebody. You'd be like, oh man, you know Nick Nikowski. Oh, kid's a beauty.
This says it's a pretty play.
Well, I mean, you could say that too, but I mean, it's usually used about a player.
I don't know if this is a thing, but it's what's biscuit?
A biscuit's a puck. Puck's the biscuit.
Bottle rocket.
A bottle rocket is when the goalie usually has his water bottle like on top of the net, and that's like when you knock it off, like you can like score and like the net, like you knock the bottle off. It's called a bottle rocket.
Bucket.
A bucket or a bucky is your helmet.
Some fucked up shit.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I don't know where that one came from. A bucket, but I mean, it worked. It makes sense.
Celly.
It's a celebration.
Cheese.
As they say, snipe and celly, you know, score and celebrate. It sounds dumb when you say it like that.
Cheese.
Cheese. That's like it's like a high goal. It's like top of the net, high cheese.
Cheese, high goal, huh? Where the fuck do you get this shit from?
I don't know. It's like high cheese, like in baseball. Like you get get some mustard on it. You throw some high cheese. You score a goal up top shelf, as they say. You got some cheese.
Shell.
Shell?
Yeah.
Shell?
That's it's the video game. It's shell.
Video game.
Yeah, is that really the answer? Yeah, that's what people call NHL.
Chiclets.
Oh, shoot.
I'm gonna let you guess this one, Nick. And let's do that. You guess it. Yeah, you guess it, and then I'll tell you what it is.
Players got no balls.
What?
Chiclets nickname for your teeth.
All right, well, chicken, like a chicken, like got no balls. Like I was thinking, like he's scared. You're scared hockey.
Chiclets were like little pieces of gum. They look like dentine.
Well,
They look like teeth.
chiclet, isn't that a?
It's like teeth.
Oh, okay, like I was thinking chicken, like as in like a baby chicken. Chiclets, isn't that what they're called?
It's a chick. They call them a chick. Chiclet. I like that though. Like piglet mixed with chick. I like that.
Oh, it's chiclet.
All right. Chirp.
Chirp.
Yeah.
All right, give me a hint. You got to help me here, all right? I'm a little bit of hockey here. Give me a hint. Just give me one hint.
I'll give you a hint.
Yeah, just give me a fucking hint.
Calling someone a bender would be a chirp.
It's when you fucking talk trash.
You just gave the fucking answer.
Were you gonna?
I asked for a hint, and you didn't give me a fucking hint. Talking trash, Joey. I'm taking the bait.
Clapper.
Yeah, big mouth. I'm gonna guess that's a big mouth, right? A clapper.
No, a clapper's a slap shot. A big
Look
clapper.
at this. Slap.
A clapper, a slapper.
Dangle.
Dangle.
Yeah.
Gee Louise. Dangle. Something to do with a shootout, maybe?
Yeah. It's like when you deke somebody, when you deke out usually the goalie. You dangled.
Oh, the goalie. All right.
All right. Fishbowl.
Fishbowl.
Fishbowl. Oh my God.
You're stuck in the penalty box. I don't know. The box. The guy's stuck in the box. The fish is stuck in the bowl. I don't fucking know.
So you know how I don't know if you do know this. So in the NHL, they wear like a half visor, like a plastic shield over here. And then in college, you most players wear like a full cage, like a metal cage over their face. But you don't have to wear a cage. You could wear, it's like that shield, but it covers your full face.
Right.
And it's like a plexiglass bowl over your face. That's a fish bowl.
All right, we got 2 more here. Flow.
All right.
Flow?
Yeah.
Rhythm on the ice skating rink. You're playing with flow. You're playing with rhythm. I don't know.
Long.
I'll give you.
Long hair? Okay. That one I can see. Flow. Okay, flow hair. Okay, got it.
Yeah, and another nickname for that is lettuce.
All right, last one. Light the lamp.
Light the lamp.
I
Game
gave
time.
you this one already.
Game time.
I gave it.
Light the lamp. Game time, right? But lights are on.
Scoring.
Barn burners are because you're lighting the lamp a lot.
Right.
All right.
Scoring a goal, they turn the light on when you score.
Okay.
So you're lighting the lamp.
Okay. I'm thinking like put on the lights, game time, prime time. I'm trying to use other sports to try to help me with this here. I'm trying to use the ones I'm familiar with. But,
All right.
like I said, Joey, going back to in all seriousness, thank you for taking the time to come on the show and explain to me about hockey. I definitely understand some things about it now. Thank you.
Oh yeah.
And like I said, hopefully down the road we can have you back on the show at some time and talk about either a part 2 of hockey or a different subject or something like that. But yeah, really appreciate the time. And on a serious note, guys, this guy doesn't get enough credit. You know, everyone hears about the ostrich and myself, but this guy right here, take a good look at him because he edits all the videos. So I want to give a personal shout out to this man right here because, you know, he might be virtually working at home, but he's as much as part of this team as any one of us. So don't give this man the credit he deserves because he definitely puts in the work, making these videos right, does a great job with it. So I want to personally say to you, Joey, while everyone's going to watch this, that, you know, you might not be physically in the building, but your spirits are here. And, you know, thank you for doing what you do.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate that, dude. I appreciate the words. It's a little different being at home now, so that really that's awesome to hear.
Don't,
dude.
don't rule yourself out coming back for Christmas. You might need to learn how to print.
You relearn how to print. You're talking to the king right here. Well, you're talking to the prince over here.
All right.
Maybe not the king. I think I'm looking at him. But
Fair
thanks
enough.
for having me on, dude. I really appreciate it. I'm looking forward to editing this hour-long interview.
One thing you can at least say is at least you were in it, and maybe you can just say, I remember this part and this part. So maybe it'll help you out a little
I mean, I can't think of anything more interesting to sit down and watch than myself for an hour. So hey, that's okay with me.
Hey, there's another guy on the other mirror, the other guy on the screen here that you look at all the time too. So you know. But
Hey,
again,
man, well, I really appreciate it, and let's catch a hockey game sometime. Once things are back to normal, maybe we'll make a little video of you going to your first hockey game, unless you've already been.
On the record, never been to a hockey game.
Yeah, maybe 2025 we'll go to a hockey game.
Well, it's better than 20 never, I guess. So
Hey.
no, we'll go 2025 in the hockey game, and then when Disney goes back to normal, maybe you and I will go in the front row of Splash Mountain.
Sounds like a lot of content.
Okay, that would be something.
Very stoked.
But on a serious note, just one more time, guys, like this guy doesn't get the credit he deserves. Like this, take a look, because this is the guy who films everything, edits everything. You know, he might not be physically here, but he's definitely doing his part. So thanks, Joey.
Thank you, man. Thank you, dude. I appreciate it. But let's be in touch, dude. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, take care, Joey.
You as well, Nick. Later.